Okay, this is section 6.1, which is titled Rational Expressions, and what we're really going to look at are rational expressions and the restrictions on the variable. A rational expression is one where there is a variable in the denominator, and the basic rule of thumb is that we can't divide by 0. We can't answer the question, how many times will nothing go into something? So when we're looking for a restriction, what we're really saying is there's a non-permissible value. There's a value that would make the denominator 0, and we can't have that. So when we look at these expressions, when we're looking at the restriction on the variable, we are simply looking at the denominators. We're going to say that the denominator, at least in question number 1 here, that this cannot equal 0. So when we solve for the x in this case, we would say that x cannot equal minus 2. So if we were to write that as a domain, the way that I would write it is that the domain is that x belongs to all real numbers except x cannot equal 2. So that would be an example of a restriction on the variable. Similarly, let's look at number 6 here, which is x squared minus 4. So x squared minus 4 cannot be 0. And if we solve here and we square root both sides, we'll say that x cannot equal plus or minus 2. And again, for the domain, we'd say that x belongs to all real numbers, but it can equal 2. You could also factor if you look at question 2 here. In order for us to deal with that, we're going to have to factor first to determine what would make that 0. And then you'll also run into questions with 2 variables. Now, if the 2 variables are multiplied together, that means neither one of them could equal 0 because 0 times anything is 0. But when they're subtracted or added, it's a little different. We would say that x minus y cannot equal 0. So we would say x cannot equal y. I would like for you to look at this question and just mentally look at each question and ask yourself, is it correct? If we look at this question and we consider the denominator, is there a restriction of the variable that x cannot equal 0? And that's false, because there is no variable in the denominator. Whereas when we look at b, there is a variable. That can't equal 0, so that one would be true. If I just pick one more, let's look down here at 5r plus 10. What value of r would make that 0? Well, this is saying that there is no restriction that r could be any number, but I don't think r could be minus 2, because if it was minus 2, it would be 0. So that one's false. So just the same skill. You'll also be involved, or do some questions involving area. And so in this question, we're told that the area is given by that, and the width is given by that. And excuse me, question A says, find a rational expression to represent the length. Well, length is area divided by width. So that would be x squared plus 3x plus 2 divided by the width, which is x plus 1. And then question B says simplify that. So we're going to factor the numerator. And you'll see that there is a common factor in the numerator and denominator. Anything divided by itself is 1, so we're left with x plus 2. Question C says, if x is 1, what is the ratio length to width? Well, the length is x plus 2. The width is x plus 1. So when you put x as being 1, pardon me, you'll get 3 to 2. You'll have a number of questions involving area and length in your assignment. Here's another example of a question involving length and area. What you're supposed to do is divide these areas by their width, and you'll get an answer, and then that answer would go there, and then to find the area of the triangle will be length times width divided by 2, or base times height divided by 2. So here's your assignment you're going to work on in class tomorrow, or today if you're watching it today, and we'll be working together and asking questions and making sure that you are confident when we do a check the next day. So I will see you then.